Hi, so I've been thinking about doing a series of videos about right to left in web design, the basics of right to left languages, how they affect web design, and if you are a coder, getting more involved into how strings work, how different text editors work, clearing up some confusions that you'll likely have if you come to this from another language background. First thing, before I get too deep into this, I'll say this is a very brief overview of multiple languages and cultures. I took one Arabic class, and my main experience has been helping open source projects support Arabic and other right to left languages in their apps. And I learned a lot from others, and I learned a lot from showing friends, like, hey, does this look right to you? And learning what those settings are. So I'm coming to this from a perspective of very much an outsider, but I hope also if you are a native speaker and you're taking like a web design course with the kind of standard curriculum, I hope that you can learn a lot about what settings you can use to support your own language. So I think it's just good to get this information out there either way, whether you're an outsider or part of one of these traditions. So first off, where do right to left languages come from? What's the chance that you're going to have to support it? Well, there are tons of people around the world that live in different countries. There's no way to say that because someone's only the only people in certain countries speak certain languages because people have moved everywhere. But in terms of right to left languages, there are three major regions where those languages have originated from and are extremely popular and are the normal way of communication. One of them is the Middle East, Southwest Asia, North Africa, where the Arabic script, as used in Arabic, as used in Persian, Farsi, Pashto, Dari languages, as well as Hebrew. But Hebrew being an example of it's spoken and written in Israel, but also around the world, wherever it's part of the Jewish tradition to use that. Then the Indian Ocean, there's Divehi used in the Maldives. And then in West Africa, just even in the 20th century, there have been new writing systems that have come up and been inspired by other right to left languages to write in that direction. So here's a typical uh, article snippet from the Arabic Wikipedia. And right to left text just means you have a snippet and everything is formatted as you're coming in from the right. So you would read the headline starting from the star and going left, and then you go to the next line, and then you go to the next line. One thing that's interesting about this is that numbers, which if you're familiar with Latin script, you know that we call them Arabic numerals because they came through the Arabic world before they came to be used in the Roman Empire and such. I don't know the whole history of this, but the main thing is numbers are read the same way that you would read the numbers in English. This is 48, this is 122, this is 99, this is 49. So this sentence is, I think, saying something like from 49 to 99, and you just need to know that the words are read, the words are written and read from right to left. The numbers, in the sense that how you perceive them, are left to right. So it's a little bit complex when you first see it. Then, if for a whole web page, if you zoom out a bit and look at, this is the Hebrew Wikipedia. Starting from the right side, you have the logo, you have the sidebar with all of the menu options. If you have a search bar, there's going to be some text, and there's going to be the search bar on the left side, and then on the far left, you'll have like the username, sign in, those kinds of tools. So it's sort of the way to get started about thinking about this as if it's a complete mirror image of the layout of your original website. And then for a menu item like this, there's the image and there's the text. Image and the text. So the layout has flipped to make it easier to support the flow of the language. I think this is why it's so important to have this series, because if I'm translating an English website into Spanish, I change the words on some buttons. I ask some people locally, does this make sense? Is this culturally appropriate? But for this, there's actually a whole other CSS layout that you're going to have to be fully accommodating. There are definitely people that don't do this and get around it, but this is like a best practices talk, so we're going to recommend that. For charts, these do exist. I follow an account called Arab Barometer, which has a lot of different charts and tends to have right to left bar charts. This was a particularly interesting scatter plot that has the origin in the bottom right. But this is not at all like required. I think it's less common to see, it's more common to see someone put together something in Excel and just put the labels in the language that matches their language and not go through this process of figuring out how do I make the bar chart look like this. Particularly line charts are almost universally left to right because time flowing left to right is pretty standard. Like if you watch a YouTube video in an Arabic web page, the video is going to go left to right in the little time browser. This could also affect some different videos and graphics. I'm going to quickly switch over to this one. This is a Divehi video from the Maldives, UNICEF Maldives. So there's kind of an interesting animation. Okay, they have a little animation here too. Yeah. So you can imagine if you have an animation that you have in English and have maybe dropped in some other languages in there. First, if you're using Adobe software, you have to double check that your script is showing up correctly. There's some different issues people have had with that. But secondly, you might have to think about, oh, it's not going to just sweep out left to right and be done. You might be wanting to render the animation in the other direction, or the sign might show up in a different direction. So there's whole things about graphic design in left to right and right to left languages, or even in shared environments, or like bi-directional text. But that's like a more of a design conversation. I want this to be like really intro level stuff. So if you're coming to this as a programmer, you've done stuff with strings before. So hello plus exclamation point equals hello. Now, if you have the text assalamu alaikum plus exclamation point, you might be wondering, wait, does the exclamation point go at this end or the other end? Like, I'm reading right to left, but the string in this, what's going on? So what really helped me out is 5 years ago, more than 5 years ago, I had a conversation with Ramzi Nasser on Twitter, and he made an Arabic programming language. Like the programming language, everything was in Arabic. And he gave this advice that instead of that you just need to think about it in first to last order. So what does that mean? So if you have this string, as-salam, then think about it maybe like you see on the right here. There's the first letter, second letter, third letter. There's this first to last like this. And you can browse them just by looking at A0, A-1. Like you can just browse characters in the string, and you can see that the first and last are as they're being read by a person. And to double down on this first to last thing, imagine that I give you a string and then say add space 2021. I say, what's the 0th character of the string? This isn't like a trick question. You'd say, oh, it's the 0th character of that thing that you added in the beginning. And say, what's the last character of the string? You would say, oh, it's 1 from 2021. If I say split it along that space, and there are no spaces in the first part, you would say, oh yeah, the first part is what you added, and the last part is 2021. And even though that string that I gave you is an Arabic string that appears like this, and the 0th letter is S, this is sana for year, even though I'm sending you this right to left text, you can't really think about it that way right now. because the text rendering will handle it later. So even if it appears on the page in the browser in this particular order at the end, everything that we talked about before is still true. So you can just think about it as like blocking it out, or I'll show you later, you can get it from your localization library where it can be better configured. But yeah, let me show you, this isn't so clear cut if you're using the JavaScript console. So here I have Assalamu alaikum written in Google Docs. There we go. And in the JavaScript console. So say hello equals this, hello plus Nick, exclamation point. And it's rendered it in a very strange way in the JavaScript console where it's literally in the order that things are entered. Hello, Nick, and exclamation point. But if I were to copy this text and paste it into a text rendering app like Google Docs, it renders it differently. I think correctly in this sense, because this comes first. If you were saying it, you would say Assalamu alaikum Nick, and then the exclamation point. So the JavaScript console and probably your own IDE are not designed to make this any easier. I am so used to having problems where I say, you know, why don't I just drop it into the Chrome JS console and see what it says? And that's not necessarily going to help you if you're confused about the order or how things are going to appear on the page. Like I said before, what I think might be easiest is if you have internationalization and localization. So just a translation file somewhere where it says hello, in this language is this, in this language is this, and in your code you're just writing hello, looking up the language, and then exclamation point. And whichever language it is, it'll pull it out of there, and you won't have anything in your source code that confuses you about which comes first or last. In some cases, I know in my IDE, when I write in array with right-to-left languages, it can get very complex. It's not really sure which part of the beginning and end of the array should appear where, and the order of the items. You want your items to be in a particular order, I know. So if you make an array in your IDE and it has raw language like this, put them all on separate lines like this. So each line, it's very clear which the first and last line in your array. And that's what I have for now. I want to do a whole series of these where I talk more about the web design choices on Wikipedia and other sites, and how I would approach going from a simple website to a more complex website, adding CSS, adding some HTML attributes that would allow you to support various content. So I'll have more about that later. Yeah, thanks for watching.